If you could see this video, then you are about to shift out of a lack mentality into believing that you're not worthy of abundance, into believing that maybe there's not enough to go around. And you are about to shift into a more abundant mindset with what I share with you in this video. In this video, I'm going to show you some concepts that once you learn, allows you to open up in abundance to more love, to more abundance and money, and even more opportunity. This is what completely shifted my own life back in 2017 when I was still trapped in a 9-to-5 job selling women's shoes. And when I made this shift in mindset, it completely transformed my life. Within 6 months, I was full-time on YouTube. Instead of a boss telling me what I had to do and having to try to get the schedule that I wanted and not stepping on the toes of people so that I was able to not have the worst schedule and things like that. Actually able to work for myself, set my own schedule, travel the world doing what I love, eventually running live events and getting to live, and recently I'm now living in California and traveling more. And this has all come as a result of that shift from the lack mentality into the abundance. So I'm going to show you exactly how to have that transformation for yourself. Now, first off, let me say that when I think of the biggest shift in consciousness I had around abundance, it actually came from reading a book. This book was called The Science of Getting Rich by Walter Wattles. Now, this book is an old school book. It's very short. And one of the things it talked about was moving from what is called a competitive mindset into a creative mindset. Now, this is also many times connected to our beliefs, I believe, about love. If we believe love is scarce, if we believe that we aren't worthy of it, we're not going to attract it. Now, when it comes to abundance, it's a very similar thing. Now, let me show you how this made such a big shift within me selling women's shoes to then me being more abundant within selling shoes, but then going from selling shoes to being on YouTube. Now, it talks about this idea where it says everything is formless substance. There's this whole summary of it. It's a one-page thing that explains the whole entire thing. And basically what it says is you get into is what's called the creative mindset when you move from the competitive mindset into creative mindset. Now, prior, working in women's shoes at Nordstrom's, it was very competitive. You went into work every day, you got paid 10% commission on whatever you sold. So if you sold $1,000 of shoes, you got $100. You sold $2,000 or $2,500, you got $250. And we would be working with probably 8 other sales employees. And there was definitely a competitive mindset, because if somebody had a good sale, normally you would look at that person that had a good sale and say, oh, that could have been mine. Now, what would happen is then people would get jealous. If someone has a good sale, someone else would get jealous. And also, we were compared against each other. So if somebody had a really good sale, the rest of the people in the department had to sell a certain amount to not lose their job. Every month there'd be these reviews of that. So it was definitely a competitive mindset. Now, what changed everything for me was when I read this book, The Science of Getting Rich, and how it talked about, a lot of it was adding value to other people, focusing on adding value, focusing on basically being in alignment with a deeper sense of meaning. But the other part of it is moving from the competition to the creative. Now, the way that I did this is selling women's shoes. Instead of seeing other people and being like, oh, that other person had a good sale, not that took away from me, under the creative mindset, there's enough to go around. There's an abundance. So if I saw someone else having a good sale, I would then say to myself, great, customers are buying today. I would let that elevate my vibration, elevate my belief, elevate my expectation. And then I would then experience a different reality than if I were to get jealous, mad, or feel like I was in scarcity. So what happened is I started to be in this energy where I was not attached to people even buying, because I realized that if this person doesn't buy, there's plenty to go around, but I'm not focused on the end result so much. It was more so about focusing on connecting with customers, having fun, elevating the vibration, adding value. and focusing on that creative mindset. And in that creative mindset, there's enough to go around, and someone else's abundance doesn't take away from my abundance. When I shifted into this mentality, very quickly, things began to shift within the numbers I was doing. Now, that was one part of it, is realizing can even translate over to YouTube, because eventually I got on YouTube, and if I saw another YouTuber, like at one point I had another YouTuber that was kind of making videos that were kind of like very similar to some of my videos, and there was a part of me that would get like angry or jealous. Not jealous, angry that like somebody was kind of like, I don't know what you would call it, piggybacking off some of the success that I had. But I would then get like a negative emotion because of it. But then I realized, wait, I'm getting into that competitive mind state again. The truth is, even though someone else was like able to kind of like, maybe get success from the inspiration or whatever you want to call it of my thumbnails or titles, what had happened is actually it was bringing more people into the niche and helping everybody. And that's something that a lot of people don't focus on. They focus on the ego. Think about it. There's an ego perspective, which is separate from everybody else, which is constantly in survival. And then there's the divine perspective where you are one with everyone, where I realize that someone else's success is also my success because that someone else is also connected to me because we're all one consciousness. You see, this is where we are really able to create that big shift, because the big shift comes from being in survival, thinking, feeling, acting equal to limitation and needing to survive, and the familiar, and moving into thriving, and in thriving there is more abundance. So this is where things really begin to shift, because then in that abundant mind state, not many people operate out of that abundant mind state. They operate out of fear, survival, and believing that they need to compete. When you are in that abundant mind state, you will notice more opportunities come to you. You are more magnetic. It was interesting. When I was selling women's shoes, some of the best days I would have were days where I'd have one really good sale. And then the rest of the day was kind of chill. But guess what? The rest of the day, I would just keep getting the perfect customers that would buy more. I'd be having more fun. I'd be making more money. And then other people would be like, why does he keep getting all the good sales? It was so cool to work in women's shoes before I got on YouTube, because you could so clearly see a quick reflection of your abundance or your scarcity. And if you were in survival trying to make your paycheck, you wouldn't do that well. If you were in survival trying to get people to buy, you were controlling. You're in the little ego construct. When you are in creative mindset, you are allowing the divine to come through. When I am creating YouTube videos, it's a very similar thing. It's allowing energy to come through, allowing messages to come through, not trying to control what the people watching think, not trying to get videos to get views. That's then trying to manipulate. And think about this. Are you manipulating the universe to give you what you want, which is a form of control? Because when I was selling women's shoes, if I was like, I want you to help me make my $5,000 day goal, that's manipulative. And instead, if I went into work and I was like, I want to have fun, I want to add value to people, people feel that off of you. It's attractive energy. If I was like, I want you to watch my videos and to watch all my other videos to get me more views so that my YouTube channel can grow more, you would feel that as not good energy. But if you could feel authentic energy that's like, oh, this guy wants to add value, he's sharing vulnerable stories, there's a different energy, right? And the more fun I have even when I make the video, the more abundance I'm in, the more you will feel that energy off of the video that I'm making, and the more you'll want to watch the videos, which is very interesting. So really what this has to do with is your belief in scarcity, your belief in lack, your belief in abundance, and your belief in the divine. Because ultimately, the divine is ever abundant. Do you not trust the divine? Or do you trust and idolize the ego or money? If you give all your power over to the ego, which remember, the ego doesn't necessarily want to thrive, it wants to survive, and it wants to feel special. But you see, there's a limited amount of abundance that can come to that mentality. There is unlimited abundance that comes from God and the divine. And you get that when you become a servant to the divine. Every one of you can do this. You become a servant to something greater than yourself, knowing that everyone else around you is another version of you. Now, the challenge is that in childhood, we learned lack. We learned that our mom's attention could only focus on one child at a time. What do you want more than anything when you're a baby? What is abundance to you? More than anything, it's probably mom's gaze. Mom's looking at you. And if you had siblings, guess what? Mom may have focused on some of the other siblings because they needed their needs met. And then it's very common where one of the kids may be jealous. There's a scarce amount of this to go around. Who do I have to be to get mom's gaze? Who do I have to be to get mom's attention? Maybe if I act a certain way. Maybe if I'm more quiet. Maybe if I act up a little bit. Maybe if I act up, the squeaky wheel's the one that gets the oil. It's a metaphor. But that's the kind of things that as kids we may think of. And then later on we're adults, and then we're trying to get mom's attention and approval, believing there's a scarce amount of it. And then that has now become projected onto that of our job, our boss, and other things in our life. So one of the biggest shifts you can make in your life is when you move into beginning to question your beliefs of lack. Could it be just an outdated philosophy, an outdated concept that you picked on when you were a kid, that you picked up, that you could begin to let go of? And one of the things we're going to be doing, by the way, in the 21-day abundance challenge is looking deep at all of this, doing breath work to transform our physiology to feel and allow in more abundance, looking at our beliefs with our mom and our dad and how that gets projected on our idea of abundance, following our passion and learning to get more into the present moment, completely eradicating lack mentality and scarcity beliefs, and realizing that the more we get in alignment with this energy, the more our life begins to change. If you want to join the 21-day abundance challenge, it is starting very soon. You can click the link in the description box, join. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a whole bunch of live office hour sessions of live hot seat coaching, breath work, videos that help you to create this transformation. It's not for people that passively just want to watch a video here and there. This is for people that really want to transform their beliefs about themselves from the inside out, doing deep inner work. A lot of it's going to be inner child work, honestly. But realize that the lack mentality is something that you're believing into. It's become your idol. You may be right about reality. Don't you see there's lack? There's not enough to go around. It justifies my childhood. It justifies what you've experienced, and there is a payoff that you get from being right. Now understand this. Reality is so vast that there is an abundance of everything. There is an abundance of love. There's abundance of people. There's an abundance of narcissists. There's an abundance of empaths. There's an abundance of trees. There's an abundance of bees. There's an abundance of everything and anything you focus on. There is even an abundance of lack. Think about that. Lack, think of it as a noun. You say there's a lot of lack, there's a lot of scarcity. There's an abundance of scarcity, there's an abundance of lack because you focus on it and you buy into it and you believe it and you've normalized it from your childhood. So if you want to experience abundance, you have to be willing to get out of the survival mode that you've become very familiar and used to and move into abundance. And how do you do that? Well, first off, you have to become aware that you're choosing the payoff of being right about reality. And you're choosing to believe. You have to take ownership for your beliefs. You're choosing to believe that we live in a not abundant universe, which it is abundant. It's just abundant in everything, including scarcity and lack. So when you start realizing that, you say, what am I believing in? What am I buying into? It gives you a new perspective on abundance, scarcity, lack, love, attention, everything. You normalize it by beginning to embody it, by beginning to trust the divine. How could you trust the divine more? How could you, every day I get in front of this video camera, I don't know what I'm going to talk about before I start talking, unless it's like the first 2 or 3 minutes before I start the video. Really, I did not know what I was going to talk about, but I, in a way, become a servant to this energy to flow through. Doesn't make me special. Everyone has the ability to do this, including you watching this video right now. You have something you live for. Like if you think of meaning, you think of something that gives your life meaning, is something that you know is helping other people, something that you believe in. And when you're willing to sacrifice the ego and its need to want recognition, its need to control things, and you start to be in this energy, life becomes so much easier because there's an abundance anyways, and it's more about you getting into alignment and flow. And a huge part of abundance is being passionate about what you are embodying, what you are believing in, what you are fighting for. So realize that this is really an energetic game that you are playing, and your life can radically change if you apply what I'm sharing with you in this video. Is becoming a servant to the divine, allowing the divine to flow through you. Start to trust God, the universe, whatever name you want to give it, over the ego's desperate desire to control, the ego's desperate desire to be in scarcity, the ego's desperate desire to recreate the familiar childhood dynamics over and over again, and start to free yourself. And you can be free right now. Is this a choice you make? It's a simple choice. You can choose to focus on the abundance of what you have. Gratitude, in that book, The Science of Getting Rich, talks about gratitude and how gratitude is the unification energy that unifies you with what already exists in your field. We talk about quantum physics. We talk about how everything is here and now. Well, in order to experience abundance, you've got to be that abundance. You've got to tap into it. Think of it like a radio dial. There's radio frequencies everywhere. You tune to 97.5, you will perceive a 97.5. Well, there's a radio station of abundance around you, but you have to tune to it. You have to choose it. It just may not be familiar. You may be so used to 93.6 LAC FM that it's just been stuck there because you believed it's stuck. It's not. You can change the station and begin to embody this new you. Yes, it's the unknown. Yes, there may be more opportunities and more unknown opportunities and more people that get brought into your life. And you may be wondering, what about the people I leave at 93.6 LAC FM or whatever? Don't need to control that. That's the survival mode. Let the chips lay where they may by you choosing to be in your new energy, choosing abundance. You could choose abundance right now by focusing on what you're grateful for. I do have one of the most powerful meditations I've ever created. I think it's one of the most underrated ones I have. It's on abundance. It's on thinking and growing rich, and a meditation that helps you grow and plant the seeds of abundance inside of you. Read the comments of the video to see what's possible and listen to this meditation for 21 days. Watch how much your life changes. Go ahead and check out this video right here.
This meditation will reprogram your mind for abundance.